Apollo and Daphne. A moment stolen from eternity. As you approach, the marble seems to whisper. At first glance, Apollo turns his back to you, his body lunging forward, his cloak billowing behind him like a sail filled with wind. He is young, powerful, yet already defeated. His fingers graze Daphne, but she is already vanishing. She arches backward, her arms raised like branches toward the sun, her lips parted not in a scream, but in a sigh. Her hair transforms into leaves. Her fingers sprout into twigs, and her smooth skin cracks into bark before your eyes. It feels as though, if you lean closer, you might catch the scent of fresh laurel, bitter and sharp, or hear the faint crackle of advancing wood. Apollo clutches her, but his hand seems to grasp only air. Daphne's leg is already rooted to the ground, her toes digging into the invisible earth of the pedestal. Circling the statue, the scene shifts like dawn. From one angle, Apollo is a triumphant god. From another, a defeated lover. Daphne, viewed frontally, is still a woman. In profile, she is already a tree. Apollo's drapery appears to flutter, Daphne's leaves to tremble. It is magic, illusion, genius. The marble is more alive than those who gaze upon it. This breathtaking scene is captured in Apollo and Daphne, a sculpture by Gian Lorenzo Bernini, housed in Rome's Galleria Borghese and inspired by the Book 1 of Ovid's Metamorphoses. In the myth, Apollo, god of the sun, music, and reason, mocked Cupid, calling him a child with a useless bow. Wounded, Cupid sought revenge. He shot 2 arrows, one of gold, piercing Apollo's heart and igniting an all-consuming passion. The other of lead, striking Daphne, a woodland nymph and daughter of the river god Peneus, instilling in her an unshakable aversion to love. Daphne, devoted to chastity and freedom, she roamed the forests like a companion of Diana, became Apollo's obsession. The god chased her through Thessaly's woods, pleading for her to stop while she fled in terror. As her strength waned and Apollo's breath brushed her neck, Daphne raised her arms to the sky in a final, desperate plea. Her father answered. Her legs stiffened into roots, her arms stretched into branches. Her hair became laurel leaves and her skin turned to rugged bark. Apollo, arriving too late, embraced only a trunk that still pulsed beneath the bark, like a heart. In despair, the god declared, "If you cannot be my bride, you shall be my tree. Your leaves will crown heroes, poets, and victors, and your name will live forever in glory." From then on, the laurel became a symbol of eternity, tied to Apollo and poetry. Ovid, with verses steeped in pathos, transformed this tale into a universal metaphor. Love that burns and escapes, freedom paid for with solitude, and destiny turning desire into symbol. Centuries later, Bernini carved that suspended moment, the touch unfulfilled, the metamorphosis as escape and rebirth, where the myth lives on, eternally unfinished, like a dream in marble. Bernini turned space into a stage. He captured the enchanted instant when time seems to freeze. Apollo seizes Daphne with ardor, but his fingers already brush the bark enveloping her body. The god, muscles taut and cloak whipped by wind, is a whirlwind of motion, while Daphne arches backward, her arms outstretched like branches, her hair dissolving into laurel leaves. Her gaping mouth expresses not pain but wonder, a farewell to the human world, a welcome to nature. Under Bernini's chisel, marble loses its coldness. Daphne's skin is polished like silk, while the bark wrapping her is rough and alive. The leaves, so thin they seem translucent, quiver as if caressed by an invisible breeze. It is a technical marvel. Stone becomes flesh. Flesh becomes plant in an endless dialogue between ephemeral and eternal. Before Bernini, Metamorphoses was deemed a subject fit only for painting, due to the challenge of depicting change in solid matter. With Apollo and Daphne, the sculptor defied convention, using drills to carve leaves and roots so delicate they appear painted, a virtuosity that leaves everyone amazed. Bernini drew inspiration from the Apollo Belvedere, an ancient statue celebrated for its elegant movement. Yet, While the classical work is static and idealized, Bernini infused his Apollo with revolutionary dynamism, turning marble into a living instant of action, a triumph of Baroque innovation. The sculpture was commissioned by Cardinal Scipione Caffarelli Borghese, a leading patron of 17th century Rome and nephew of Pope Paul V. Known for his passion for art and collecting, he entrusted the young Bernini, then in his early 20s, with creating monumental works for his Roman villa. This project was part of a grander scheme to celebrate the Borghese family's prestige through mythological and biblical themes. Begun in 1622 and completed in 1625, the statue was originally placed near a wall in the villa, designed to reveal its drama gradually as viewers circled it. A lower pedestal heightened its theatricality. First Apollo's back, then Daphne's disintegration and rebirth. Each angle unveiled new details, a heart beating beneath bark, roots emerging from stone, like verses of an Ovidian poem carved in time. The room was once lined with kerami, colored leather panels, a 17th century decorative choice that contrasted with the white marble, amplifying the scene's drama. By the 18th century, the statue was moved to the center of the room, losing some of Bernini's intended impact but retaining its power to astonish. A Latin distich on the base, composed by Cardinal Maffeo Barberini, later Pope Urban VIII, reimagines Ovid's myth as a Christian warning. Those who chase fleeting beauty fill their hands with leaves and bitter berries. This inscription justified the pagan theme in an ecclesiastic's private collection, balancing sensuality with morality. When the statue was moved, a second cartouche with Ovid's verses, carved into an eagle-shaped plaque by Lorenzo Cardelli, was added. Despite its perfection, parts of the sculpture, like Apollo and Daphne's hands and heads, show graphite traces on nails and scalps, hinting at deliberate, unfinished details. Bernini may have feared damaging fragile sections or disrupting the work's balance. Even on the back, some areas remain unfinished, because Bernini knew that, in the original placement, these details would not be visible to the viewer. This highlights Bernini's pragmatic genius. He prioritized visible perfection while optimizing labor, a common Baroque practice for large-scale works. During a 1997 restoration, plaster pads were discovered, used to protect delicate areas, like leaves and roots, during carving. Bernini enlisted sculptor Giuliano Finelli for intricate elements, for example, laurel leaves and roots. Finelli's contribution remains debated. Some dismiss him as an assistant, while others credit his skill. The 17th century biographer Passeri mentions his involvement, though modern studies downplay it. In the gilded quiet of the Galleria Borghese, marble comes alive under Bernini's genius, freezing an eternal moment of flight and desire. Apollo and Daphne is not merely a sculpture. It is a breath suspended between myth and reality, a silent cry of passion and transformation defying stone's rigidity. Bernini did not carve a myth. He froze the instant when all recognized the price of freedom and the heart-rending beauty of farewell, the despair of an embrace never completed. Apollo is shackled to his longing, Daphne to her liberty. Apollo and Daphne is more than art. It is a Baroque enchantment where movement becomes poetry, and Metamorphoses a universal symbol. Bernini sculpted not just marble, but the soul of the story itself. The last embrace between God and nymph, human and divine, the fleeting and the eternal.